Welcome to the Fantasy Throwdown Podcast, bringing you the latest updates from the world of sports, gambling, and pop culture. Because you can't have a show without hot takes or a Tiger King meme these days. Know what I'm saying? Now, with over 200 episodes and ready to get after it again, here's your host, Dwayne Callender.
It is late night, folks, and I was going to take my L with the Lakers' victory for another night, but I had to come on the air, mainly because of how the Sunday night football game between the Vikings and the Seahawks just ended now. And I shake my head at the misappropriation of analytics, because I think people misunderstand more often than not what the purpose of using analytics to actually succeed is in times. So, game scenario. Less than 2 minutes to go. You've got the Vikings up 5. They are up 5 in the game. What do the Vikings do? It is a score 26-21 Vikings. The Vikings have been leading pretty much the entirety of the game in most parts, outside of a brief flurry where Seattle took the lead, but the Vikings took it back. But here's the issue. You're down inside the red zone, inside the 10. You're up 5. Less than 2 minutes to go. Up 5. 5 points. I say this because in football, the most you could score after a touchdown is 8 points if you go for 2. It's less than 2 minutes left. You're up 5. A touchdown can still beat you. Yes, getting the first down ices the game with 1 yard. Yeah. We get that. But your star running back, Dalvin Cook, is out injured. Kicking the field goal, even though the analytics may say doesn't ensure 100% victory, you're at 94 freaking percent. 94% chance of winning. You know what the chance of losing is? 6%. You know what keeps the chance of losing at 6%? Not getting fourth down converted. Kicking the field goal, while not ultimately ensuring 100% chance of victory, ensures that you don't lose the bleeping game on a touchdown. So what happens? Vikings get stuffed. Russell Wilson, doing Russell Wilson things, drives the Seahawks down into the red zone and scores a touchdown to end the game. All but to end the game, because the Vikings only got the ball back with less than 10 seconds left. I cannot stress this enough. How badly analytics gets misused to justify idiotic decisions. You're up 5 with less than 2 minutes left. Even if you only kick the field goal and Russell Wilson drives down the field to score a touchdown, he still has to convert a 2-point conversion, which is not a gimme, just to force overtime, and you still have a chance to win the game in overtime. The only chance you have of losing the game in regulation is if you do not convert fourth down and Russell Wilson scores a touchdown on you. That is the only way you could have lost the game in regulation. And yet the Vikings chose to go down that route. The one decision path that could actually allow for you to lose the game in regulation. A game you were in control of for, I'd say, probably 45 out of the 60 minutes the Vikings were in control of that game. It's just mind-numbingly dumb. And they're going to say they base it off of analytics. But my issue when you're saying analytics is the basic common sense of knowing, yes, the analytics can guarantee you 100% chance of victory if this outcome happens. But the negative downside outcome is making sure you don't lose the game outright. And your downside risk dramatically increased because you opted for the one variable choice that could allow you to get beat in regulation. If you kick the field goal to go up 8, you force the Seahawks to get a number of scenarios pointed through to A, score that touchdown as quickly as they did. Minnesota was playing way too soft of a zone. Let's be real. Way too soft. And still have to convert a 2-point conversion. Seattle almost scored twice on that drive because I still think DK Metcalf caught that pass originally before it got knocked loose. And he caught it again on 4th down for the game-winning touchdown. But again, the Vikings put themselves in this position of somehow being able to get beat in regulation because they tried to justify an illogical decision to try to ice a game when they were already at a 94% chance of victory. If you kick the field goal, your chances of winning the game, it may not be 100%, but it's closer to 95 to 98%. But you know what it avoids? It avoids the downside of, hey, the Seahawks drove right back down the field, scored a touchdown, and you have no chance to even get in field goal range to win the game. It's just mind-numbingly dumb how these teams operate. I can't get over that. I cannot get over this. I was going to take my L with the Lakers tomorrow and do the show. But instead, I got to talk about this to start off the show and then talk about the Lakers dominating the Heat. So I got my derriere handed to me tonight for NBA DFS because we got the blowout scenario that I was worried about, that the Heat had left it all on the floor in Game 5 and would have nothing left in the tank for Game 6. So we got the blowout scenario. The Heat didn't pull their starters, which made it worse, because if they at least pulled their starters, it could have it could have been a better outcome. But the problem is that because Jimmy Butler had nothing left, basically it fell to getting kind of garbage time points from Bam Adebayo, whom I had dropped off the player pool entirely because A, he wasn't getting there with the Lakers defense unless it was a blowout scenario and then they were just going to give up points in the post eventually, or just him grabbing rebounds because the game was so far out of hand, which is exactly what happened. Maybe I should have built some lineups for the blowout risk and kept Bam in that one scenario, but man, that's just not a productive way of utilizing assets, and I talked about this before. So, yeah, got my butt handed to me from a DFS perspective. But the Lakers, even though I said they were highly overrated coming into the year, the Lakers are your 2020 NBA champions. That is the truth. So, I will take this quick break for some ads, but we're going to get into the Lakers winning their title and what it kind of means for the NBA, because everyone's going to be sucking up to LeBron, the kingdom come at this point for the next week and a half. But let's put this one in actual perspective here, because this one, the flaking of the Clippers only compounded the amount of issues going on with the NBA season that transpired, with everything that went down. So let's do a little bit of a retrospective of the NBA season in a nutshell, and after the break, and we'll circle back after this. Stay tuned.
Don't go anywhere. The Fantasy Throwdown Podcast will be right back after our sponsors pay the bills. Welcome back to the show. Hope you got your popcorn ready.
All right, welcome back to the show, folks. All right, so as I said, the NBA season is finally over. The Lakers are your champions, but let's put this one in perspective here. The Lakers won an NBA title with no Warriors to contend with, Kevin Durant on the shelf for the entire year, Giannis basically flaking out of the NBA bubble after the 5-month hiatus due to the pandemic. Oh, did I mention we're still in the middle of a pandemic? Yeah, we're still in the middle of a pandemic, folks. Wear your masks, please. I mean, let's be honest here. We had 2 NBA seasons that went on here. So when we talk about the legacy of LeBron here, the legacy is the fact that LeBron's longevity and commitment to detail, that is his Hall of Fame criteria. You know, when we talk about who's the GOAT, who's the greatest, this, that, and the other, you know, from a skill set standpoint, there are still players far and away still better than LeBron in terms of certain attributes. Jordan's going to be a better scorer. Wilt's going to be a better scorer. I mean, Russell, better defender. Bird, clearly a better shooter. I mean, it's not even close. But the key with LeBron, outside of Kareem, there really is no comparable NBA Hall of Famer that has the longevity of LeBron and the consistency of playing at a high level of LeBron. That's LeBron's attribute, is his willingness and commitment to just staying in that peak physical condition and being able to play bully ball as a forward. Because what we saw tonight in Game 6 of the NBA Finals, he imposed his will and he broke down an undersized Miami Heat team, which is what needed to happen a couple of different times, but LeBron was trying to, conserve energy and not try to leave it out on the floor. Like, Miami was leaving it out on the floor basically every game of the NBA Finals after they went down 0-2. Like, once they went down 0-2, Miami just said they were going to just commit to everything that they did and try to make life as hard as humanly possible for the Lakers. And they succeeded in winning 2 games that they had no business winning. You know, once I saw Adebayo injured and Dragic injured, I pretty much wrote this series off as maybe a sweep or a gentleman's sweep where the Lakers give them a game. But I didn't expect Miami to give the Lakers nearly as hard of a time as they did. Because unlike, the Nuggets that they played, they didn't have any true size mismatch. Like, Joker was a pain in the ass for the Lakers. Made life miserable. You had Jamal Murray being so scorching hot that it gave them trouble at the point. Like, point guards give the Lakers a lot of trouble. Dragic being injured basically took out the Miami's game plan from the jump. Jimmy Butler had to do everything on his own, and damn, had some of the best triple-double performances you will ever see an NBA player have, and did it in the NBA Finals. Mad props to Jimmy Butler. I've been pushing for Jimmy Butler for years now, and he finally got his due. But, the truth of the matter is that Miami was just always going to be coming up short because they just did not have a full deck of cards to kind of go up against the Lakers with. At times, they basically chased Miami off the wings. Miami couldn't get any perimeter shots going because they took out Dwight Howard. They put in Caruso. They just basically chased him off the three-point line. And with Anthony Davis playing essentially an outfielder, just swatting balls away, and just challenging shots. Miami did not want to go challenge at the hoop, and that was a fatal flaw because at that point, Miami just needed to try to go into the hoop and just try to draw fouls, and they just didn't do it. That was to me the biggest takeaway. The other takeaway was playoff Rondo showed up, and when playoff Rondo shows up and LeBron's engaged, the Lakers are not getting beat by pretty much any team other than if the Clippers team we were promised ever showed up. The Clippers never showed up to the NBA bubble. The fact that they were spending more time trolling on Damian Lillard than actually getting ready for their postseason kind of showed it. Because I should have seen the warning signs when Luka Doncic, with no supporting cast to speak of, was lighting them up, that they might have trouble when they actually went up against two NBA All-Stars. And that's exactly what happened when they played the Nuggets. But again, I'm going to take my L. I did not see the Lakers winning the title this year. I question whether or not Anthony Davis, and you guys can go back in the archives, I question whether or not Anthony Davis had the mettle and resolve to be willing to commit to taking the pain, taking the punishment in the post, banging with guys. I thought that there were very real concerns about Anthony Davis faring well in playoff-type basketball when you've got to man up and take the abuse. LeBron's been doing it for 10 straight NBA Finals now. Well, not 10 straight, but the 10th NBA Finals. But, I mean, LeBron's basically in the Finals every year or every other year to begin with anyway because of how bad the East was. But you get my drift. But we did not see this out of Anthony Davis yet. He had not had good playoff performances until now. Playing with LeBron and just willing to be the number 2 guy and playing off of LeBron gave AD the confidence he needed to actually execute in the postseason. And he was the dominant defensive presence in the paint. And then, Fountain of Youth found Dwight Howard, whose back issues magically disappeared. You know what? I really shouldn't be this sarcastic. I said I was going to take an L. I'll take an L. But, okay, Dwight Howard, overcoming the back issues that he said limited his ability to perform in Washington and other NBA stops since he got exiled from the Lakers because Kobe said he wasn't serious about winning. Dwight Howard actually showed up, humbled himself, took that secondary, that bench role in a way, and then eventually outplayed JaVale McGee, which is not that hard of a task to do. But okay, I'm going to try to be less sarcastic. Overcame and excelled and got a starting role on the team. Tremendous feat. I'm trying not to be a wise ass here, but it is a little bit hard. It is a little bit hard. So when you kind of get right down to it, Lakers fans ripped on Rajon Rondo pretty much the entire season. Now they're singing Rondo's praises. Listen, Rondo plays for when his time is needed. His time needed is in the postseason when he actually goes off on different times. And, he destroyed I mean, he basically destroyed Miami second unit all by himself. The thing of it is that, he basically knows every single aspect of offensive basketball there is at this point. So no matter what defense you're running against Rondo, he knows exactly how to expose the defense you're running. The reason why Miami could not run the zone against the Lakers is because Rondo would be on the court and basically finding exactly where to pin LeBron or AD to destroy and demolish the zone. Miami just had no success with, playing zone on the Lakers. So, again, with the injuries Miami had and being undersized, this was just not a very good matchup. And the reason why I thought this was originally going to go 6 was maybe you might get a game out of Jimmy Butler, but Bam Adebayo could have a game with some help from Dragic and Hero, and you get the 2 wins that way. The 2 wins that the Miami Heat actually got from Jimmy Butler just playing out of his mind, that is elevating yourself to a different standard. The thing that is so infuriating about some NBA teams just not willing to put in the work, Jimmy Butler was just asking for a chance to have a franchise focus, lock in, and do the work. The Heat actually did all those things that Jimmy Butler had been craving for years. And he never got the chance to do it in Chicago or Minnesota or Philly. But he got blamed a lot too. Because he was too ultra competitive in the minds of some. When you aren't superstar quality execution wise, you have to develop a mentality of being able to scrounge out every last bit of talent within you to get the job done. And that's what Jimmy Butler does. I always looked at it the same way as Charles Barkley. Charles Barkley always said that, he knew how to rebound. He had to learn everything else. Jimmy Butler knew how to play defense. He worked on every other aspect of his game. He's not a scorer. He was never a great passer. But he worked his ass off and became very good and excellent at all those categories, but he could always hang his hat on his defense. So, that's what makes it frustrating when you see guys with so much God-given talent not being able to utilize that talent effectively or even hone their craft. Because that's the thing that I criticize Giannis Antetokounmpo more than anything else, is the fact that he has so much talent being able to handle the ball. The fact that he hasn't actually learned a single post move yet is insulting to the game of basketball, given his size. Just a basic skyhook would change Giannis's playoff situation entirely on its head with the Bucks, because either he's going to need to learn how to be a point forward and just be able to facilitate at the top of the key and being able to find guys instead of guys just waiting around for him to do stuff. Because playing the game as though if it's a session of NBA Jam or NBA Street, that only works up to a certain point in the NBA calendar. And then once it hits postseason, guys are going to make life very difficult. And when life gets difficult for Giannis, I still haven't seen any growth yet out of him. And this was my concern about Anthony Davis. So, I feel good when guys that try to do the best they can with what they've got, like Jimmy Butler, succeed, because we know how hard they had to work at it, and it's not natural for them to be able to be on that stage. But when they were on that stage, they feel obligated to do what they have to do to get there and try to get the job done and perform it at a high level. And that's what Jimmy Butler did. Yeah, this last game didn't end the way they would have wanted. Dragic tried to play through plantar fasciitis, a complete terror of plantar fasciitis. I can't even imagine how much pain Dragic played under. It's just, it's one of those things. From an NBA perspective, this was a very trying season overall. Just in terms of the pandemic, trying to come back. And I give Commissioner Adam Silver a lot of credit because he's the one who came up with this whole bubble format that every other league started copying off of afterwards. But he was the first to actually come up with set parameters and try to work out arrangements with Disney to set up the accommodations for the players and everything else. Because if he doesn't come up with a comprehensive plan, along with, people can criticize it all you want, but that 110-page safety protocol measures, it covered the gambit of basically everything that could have happened. And the NBA did run into certain situations during the bubble season with as the months dragged on. But if that safety protocol plan wasn't as comprehensive as it was, the players would not have the buy-in. Chris Paul would not be able to sell the players on that deal. The players would have just sat home. The league would have lost money because of the television contracts not being honored. And then the NBA's in a real quagmire. But we may not have even gotten the other sports because the other sports ended up kind of following the NBA's lead. Football probably would have still gone on because the NFL is always about making money. But I'm not sure if hockey comes up with that bubble format if the NBA didn't give them the idea. I really believe that. We might not have gotten a Stanley Cup champion this year in the Tampa Bay Lightning. And for those of you wondering why I didn't cover the Tampa Bay Lightning, no, I am not covering the team that poached all a great portion of the talent from the Rangers, committed salary cap nihilism just to win one cup, and now having to dismantle their team. No, I'm not giving Tampa that much love. Congratulations on doing the bare minimum of what you were expected to do. But yeah, in all seriousness, no. Adam Silver deserves a lot of credit. Chris Paul deserves a lot of credit as well, being the head of the NBA Players Association. Michelle Roberts, the NBA, the NBA PA's executive director, she deserves a lot of credit for kind of working out some of the logistics of the television contracts. There was a lot of work that got put into these bubble formats along with the television networks, and that has to get acknowledged. So I will throw the broadcasters a bone because that could not have been easy being away from family, that long and grueling season inside the bubble when we're in the middle of a pandemic, you're not being able to go anywhere. You're still in the bubble the entire time. Again, it's a welcome distraction from everything that's going on, but there are a lot of serious things that have to be addressed. And, but I do like the sojourn that you can get through sports, because I think sports represents so much of what we could be as a society when we have complete buy-in and not worrying about just so much needless nonsense. But, that's where I'm going to kind of leave it off at. Just in terms of thankful that we got what we got, because there there really wasn't any guarantee of anything happening when things shut down in early March. Like, no one really knew how this was truly going to play out. So I have to say that it is something that is a truly remarkable feat that when we look back on this, hopefully years from now, there will be a grander appreciation of the work that got put into this. So that's going to do it for the show. I will say in passing, or in closing rather, best wishes to Dak Prescott with his severe ankle fracture injury that he sustained playing the Giants earlier today. It was very hard to watch that happen. When I saw it, I honestly thought he had, it was a football play. He kind of fell down. He kind of grabbed. I thought he initially pulled something, and then I saw something that I did not want to see, and when I saw his foot, and then I saw something jutting, like I ended up reacting the same way Tony Romo did with the "oh no" aspect, because you want to say it's something else because you know what it is, but you don't want to admit that you saw something that gruesome happen to another human being. And I think that's part of where we are, what we at least strive to be is empathetic and understanding of individuals. So regardless of what you may feel about Dak Prescott, his contract situation, everything else that's going on, given the year that he's had, losing a brother, having massive financial pressures tied to your job performance, with basically everyone scrutinizing you and not having an outlet, and to have the thing you love to do most in life taken away from you in just most brutal fashion within seconds. I send out my best wishes to Dak Prescott and his family, because, trying to make a rehab process is not easy. And, with everything that's been going on with him, I know it's going to be another test of his character, but I have full confidence that he will recover and come back in some capacity. But, regardless of, how his career moves on, the way he's carried himself and conducted himself, I've always respected, and I want to acknowledge that as well. So, again, wish I didn't have to end on a somber note, but, sometimes we don't get what we want in terms of happy endings. But, what I can say for Dak is, when I saw Alex Smith suffer his compound fracture the way that it happened, I truly thought Alex Smith's career was over, and that he would never play again. It's just, it was one of those things when his fracture happened against the Rams. I thought his career was over. I mean, we never even knew that how seriously Alex Smith came close to dying that day. I mean, it's crazy. But, again, for at least Dak's purposes, Alex Smith came back on the field and played a game of football today. So, again, modern medicine and just what you can do with the an indomitable will and spirit that Alex Smith displayed in his rehab process, Dak can come back from this. He can come back from this, even though I'm not cheering for the Cowboys to win any titles, but Dak can come back from this and be very successful as an NFL QB. That is the kind of leader you would want for your team. But, there is hope, even in the darkest of times. So that, again, didn't want to go out on that kind of a note, but I think it is sometimes you got to be realistic about what you see and experience as a sports fan sometimes. But you see the beauty of sport as well when you've got Rafa Nadal winning his 20th tennis major and his 13th French Open title over Novak Djokovic, and Roger Federer, with all of his grace and class, comes out to award the title to Rafa, given their rivalry over the years, but the amount of mutual respect between the two, I said it before, but it's like that's the beauty of sports sometimes, of what we can aspire to be as people. So just food for thought, folks. All right, I'm done rambling. It's late night. With Sunday Night Football and everything else that has gone on today. So I'm going to call it a night. Take care, be well, and until next time.
Thanks for listening to the Fantasy Throwdown Podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and all other major outlets.